Good evening. This is Attorney Vance Stallings. I'm coming to you from my home office tonight, and yes, I do have the beard growing. I made a deal with my kids that I would grow the beard until we got out of the house, and Governor Northam just made that very difficult for me to keep up. I'll be Grizzly Adams by the time I get out of here. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you. I've been doing a lot of research and had a lot of calls from small business people, also nonprofits like churches and schools, about the CARES Act and the loan programs that have been made available to assist and help small business primarily to deal with payroll issues and other cash flow issues that they're going to be facing in the light of this coronavirus. Now, I have some notes up here around me, so I apologize ahead of time that I may divert from time to time to look, but there's a lot of information that's out there, and I wanted to get at least some of it to you that so that you might find it helpful and be able to use this information and this money that's being pumped into the economy to try and assist small business people, churches, and other nonprofits to maintain their payrolls and be able to cash flow during this very difficult time for the economy. So, what is this? It comes from the Coronavirus and Relief and Economic Security Act. That's been shortened to the CARES Act, and doesn't that acronym it's really nice. But anyway, there's two basic loan programs that have been made available. One is the Payroll Protection Program. $349 billion has been set aside for that, and that's kind of a standalone program that's been set up under the CARES Act. The goal is to prevent job losses and small business failures due to the coronavirus. And it applies to small businesses, which includes very small businesses like sole proprietors, nonprofits, and other extremely small businesses up to 500 employees. So it's meant to cover that whole category of people, that whole category of company. It provides a forgivable loan. Yes, a forgivable loan. We might call that a grant. It covers payroll and other costs, and that's what it has to be applied to. The other loan program is an expansion of the disaster loan program that's currently been available under the SBA, and that has been infused with $10 billion in additional capital to fund loans for small business, again, 500 and below. The overall goal of the CARES Act that covers both of these loans is to pump money into the economy to reduce disruptions to business and the financial markets, and to try and be a bridge to the other side of this situation where we basically have all been told to stay at home. And that is what it attempts to do, and it throws a whole lot of money at it. The CARES Act as a total, from what I understand, is being funded at the level of $2.2 trillion. So that's obviously a lot of money, and an attempt to keep the economy from falling off of the rails at this time. The PPP is the Payroll Protection Act that we had discussed. We'll just call it the PPP from here on out. It's 100% federally guaranteed money. So that loan program is guaranteed. The intent is to maintain payroll levels and allow loan forgiveness. The loans are available until June the 30th. And what do they cover? What can you use the money for? Well, you can use it for payroll, healthcare benefits, employee compensation, mortgage interest obligations, rent, utilities, and interest on debt that was incurred prior to the loan. The maximum amount of a PPP loan is the lesser of $10 million, or 2.5 times your average payroll monthly over the last 12 months. So whatever the average was, you're eligible to get up to 2.5 times that, up to a maximum of $10 million. These loans are unsecured, so you don't have to collateralize them. There's no personal guarantee that's required in regard to them. There's no showing that credit is otherwise unavailable, so you don't have to prove that the government loan is the only way for you to get this money. If not forgiven at the end of that term, like we talked about with the grant, if you don't use it appropriately, etc., and you do have to repay some of it because you didn't go by the rules, then the maximum is a 10-year term, and the maximum interest rate is 4%. There's a 6 to 12-month deferment on payments of principal and interest and fees that you can utilize if you do have to pay it back. So this is meant to put money in your hands quickly and to do it at terms that are encouraging you to do it, to take advantage of meeting payroll costs, keeping your people on the job, keeping them in their health care, so that the government doesn't otherwise have to fund these things. So it does make sense at a certain level, even for a government program, to try and achieve that and to minimize the disruption to the economy. The loan forgiveness is after an 8-week period of time after the origination date. So as long as you have taken care of the money and done with it what you were supposed to do for that 8-week period of time, then you would be eligible for the loan to be forgiven. That would look much more like a grant than a loan at that point. If you have had to lay off some employees despite this, you can alleviate some of that and not have to pay money back if you have rehired employees by June the 30th of this year. So even if you have to let some go, if you bring them back by June the 30th, 2020, then you would be able to still have loan forgiveness in regard to this. Again, as we said, 500 and fewer employees to be eligible, must have been in operation as a business since on February the 15th. So you had to be a business in existence on that date. You must have employees paying payroll taxes, etc., or independent contractors in order to qualify. And sole proprietors can satisfy those requirements. So even sole proprietors, the smallest of business, can be eligible for this program. You must certify that uncertainty of economic conditions is causing you to have to apply for the loan, and you have to certify that the funds will be used in a certain way. So that is the PPP loan program, and it offers loan forgiveness, very attractive terms, and as long as you apply the money in the way that it is required to be applied, addressing payroll issues, healthcare, that sort of thing, then you can get full loan forgiveness in regard to that. So it's a very attractive program that's been set up for the distinct purpose of keeping these payrolls going, keeping people working instead of falling into unemployment lines. All right, the second loan program is, the acronym for that is the EIDL. That's the one I just call the Disaster Loan Relief. Companies may be eligible for loans under both of these programs. So I just wanted to let you know that that's the case. You can get both of these loans. If you're unable to seek recovery under the EID loan for the same cost that you covered under the PPP, you can still get it under the EIDL. You just can't claim those costs again against the EIDL as you're qualifying for that as having suffered economic loss. So you can't get double paid, but you can get both loan programs and cover various types of things that are available under each. And if you're eligible and can pull that off, and if you can, are qualified to do so, then you can really take care of a great deal of expense. This second loan program, the EIDL, its eligibility is expanded, so you can get this loan until December the 31st, 2020. So if your losses have not yet been incurred, but you're expecting to have them, you might want to keep this loan program on your radar because its availability is out into the future as far as being able to get these funds. I would imagine, like any other program, it is subject to the funds running out and any further funding that might come from Congress if that were to occur. So again, you're encouraged to do this as quickly as you can, but you can certainly incur losses later and be able and eligible to get funds to offset some of those losses. Again, this is for businesses with 500 or fewer employees. To qualify, you must have suffered what they call substantial economic injury from the COVID-19 virus. Loan amounts are based on showing actual losses up to $2 million, and you can pay for payroll and other costs as well as to cover other costs of doing business that are disruptive. The interest rate on this loan is 3.75% for business and 2.75% for nonprofits. It's up to a 30-year amortization, so the payments can certainly be spread out over time. And you can request in advance when you apply for this loan of $10,000 up front to pay for allowable working capital expenses. So you can get $10,000 right up front. It's essentially a grant. It must be deducted from PPP funds if you get that, but you can get these monies very close, very fast up front in order to cover immediate needs. And as I think I said, but it is 3 days that typically the SBA is supposed to be able to get those funds to you. There are no personal guarantees in this loan program up to $200,000. So up to a lending amount of $200,000, there are no personal guarantees. There does appear to be collateral required as traditional under SBA programs for over $25,000. So, unless the Congress takes further action, which they very well may, there is going to be a collateral requirement for this loan over $25,000. At least that's the latest that we're getting as far as the breakdown of this plan, this program. You must have the ability to pay. That's just the standard ability to pay requirements, like is standard to banking. But your credit score can be used as the sole basis in order to expedite loans. So if you have a good credit score, that can be used as a basis for making this type of lending available to you in order to get these funds again out as quickly as possible. Okay, so that's a quick review of the two primary loan programs available to small business, nonprofits, and churches under the CARES Act that was recently passed, that $2.2 trillion stimulus or offset for the expenses caused by the COVID-19 virus. These programs can be very helpful. They can be the very lifeblood of your business. They're intended to be that, and money is being put out there in order to accomplish this. Banks are already on top of this. Several local banks here in this area, I've already been in touch with them about where they are on this, and they're hiring, they're putting in place what's necessary in order to get this done. The intent of this program is to push money into the economy, and this is what their intentions are. Some of these requirements may actually be eased in order to make that possible, because the deal is not to make great loans at this point. The deal is to get money into the economy so that people can continue working even in the difficult times that the economy is facing right now. We've got to get money out there, and that's what everybody is on board for doing. When I talk to the banks, though, the queue is filling, and they refer to it as the queue, and that's just the line of businesses that have applied and that are being looked at as far as going through the processing. So getting in early is a big deal here, especially in regard to the PPP loan, again, that $10,000 that's available under the disaster funds with the SBA. And you want to be at the front of the queue. This is all getting going. It's new. The banks are still ramping up, and they don't all have the same programs as far as how they make it available to you online or otherwise. But between the SBA, which oversees the disaster funds, and the local banks through which are being driven these PPP loans, you really need to get out, get involved, identify a banker that you can work with who has the expertise and has already looked into this and is kind of up to speed on it. Cash flow waits for no one. You know that. Your businesses don't wait. Your people need to be supported. These funds are available to empower you to do things that you really want to be able to do in this time. Okay. Thanks for watching. I hope that was useful to you. You can message me if you're looking at this on LinkedIn or Facebook. I can also be reached at my phone number, 757-641-0895. Be glad to take your calls and get to me in some way if you'd like. If you need a referral, a good banker to work with, something along those lines, or just need more information about how these programs might be available to you. That's what we're here for. And again, thanks for watching. I hope you found it helpful.